Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. First of all, I wanted to say I'm very pleased with the success of last night's video. It maybe isn't completely accurate to say that it went viral, but for the size of this channel, it's just, I'm really happy with the number of views it got and hope that just sets off a string of successful videos that can kind of make our group grow a little bit. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who watched it. The Giants beat the Dodgers 15-0 tonight. That has just got to feel good. I mean, think about what you were feeling like a few weeks ago. How things looked for the Giants. It seemed like every time they got a little bit of ground, they lost it again. Anticipating this series against the Dodgers, who would have thought that the result would have been this? A few weeks ago, we were just wondering if the Giants even had a chance. That was the question. Who would have expected anything like this? The Giants now have taken this series against the Dodgers, and it just, I understand that everything, however many runs he scored, can only count for one win, but it just feels really good to see them just pounce on the Dodgers 15-0. It's incredible. Alex Wood pitched 5 scoreless innings today, and then Tristan Beck came in and pitched 4 scoreless innings. So no position players pitching today, but just some long relief by Beck there to close out this game. I couldn't say all the hitters who contributed. I couldn't remember everything, but Lamont Wade Jr. hit a home run. Also, J.D. Davis hit a grand slam. I could mention this every time he does something like that, but Davis was definitely a big hit for the Giants acquiring him. One of the few real gains they got out of the 2022 trade deadline, the acquisition of Davis. But he hit a grand slam today. In total, the Giants scored 15 runs. And what a win over the Dodgers. They've taken this series. They're one win away from sweeping them. And I think they've got a good chance to do it if they can keep up this level of intensity. They are, I believe, one half game behind the Dodgers right now. Very close to being better. Very close to overtaking them. If the Giants can win tomorrow, complete this sweep, that's what they're going to do. It's just an incredible position that they're in. And based on that fact, just based on the Giants' recent surge, I want to discuss something that's going to come into play at the trade deadline. And I don't know if this seems to anyone like a random time to discuss this. I don't mean it to be. I mean to really tie this into everything. But obviously getting big, like top guys, top maybe impending free agents, but big baseball stars at the trade deadline is a big part, or should be a big part of every team's goal when they're contending. This year, what about the possibility of Shohei Ohtani's being available on the market at the trade deadline? What would it look like for the Giants there? Well, first of all, I have to point out that the Angels have a winning record. And that's a little unfortunate because where he might have been available a few years ago, had he been an impending free agent, it maybe isn't so likely now because the Angels' playoff chances are very realistic, and they're not going to want to rebuild if things continue this way. They're likely to want to contend and probably hold on to Ohtani. Of course, there are always times when a team's front office just gets all dumb and either they don't want to make a push for a playoff spot if they know it's going to be close and there's a chance of failure, so they're not taking their chance of success, or they're just like caving into the pressures of ownership where they think they're going to get more money if they cut salaries and maybe they find a way to land a guy somewhere where they're not going to be eating the rest of the salary. I don't know. Those things, you would think that they're frequent reasons. Well, I don't know how frequent, but that there's sometimes reasons like just on a messed up team why they'll trade their best players and maybe forfeit a playoff chance. But who in their right mind would do that with Ohtani? If the Angels have a chance to make it, it would seem to me that they're going to want to hang on to him. So I'm not saying there's a significant probability that he's going to come on the market. However, there's over a month until the trade deadline. There's a chance for some things to happen to the Angels. There's a chance for them to maybe stop doing so well and to kind of start losing some games. We have to check and see how things look around the time of the trade deadline. Even if it's looking against the odds, we don't know. Ohtani could become available on the free agent market. You just don't know. And if he did, what would that mean for the Giants? This wouldn't even be some kind of big financial commitment. Who knows how much of his salary the Giants would have to even pay? He's making $30 million this year, but oftentimes when players go, the former team eats most or all of the salary. So we don't know how this is going to go. Even if the Giants had to pay all of it, this is not some big financial commitment on their part. Don't get me wrong. If it were, I think the Giants should make it a priority to invest in. I mentioned last offseason that I would have made a pretty big offer on Aaron Judge and certainly not let him go for the offer that the Yankees gave him. Same thing with Shohei Ohtani. If we were speaking... If I was saying this at this offseason, I'd be totally in favor of them signing him to a huge contract. And trust me, yes, he is worth a lot of money. This is not even talking about that. We're focusing on the present. Right now, we're just thinking from the perspective of 1 year. And we can talk about the offseason when it gets there. Now we're talking about the Giants' playoff chances this year and what the possibilities they have to help themselves win a championship this year. The investment, obviously, at the trade deadline is going to be prospect. Right? They're going to have to trade, and sometimes those are hard to part with. You think these could be guys that could help us win in the future. Even if part of you wants to focus on the present, sometimes organizational prospects are hard to part with. That's one reason why it might be kind of significant, even when speaking about the present, just how well the Giants do at the draft in this year. If they are successful and get some new prospects, maybe they can afford to make a splurge at the trade deadline. And the opposite might be kind of true or they'll think they need to kind of keep things going for the future if they don't. That's one reason why their performance at the draft in 2023 could have a direct effect, and we're not necessarily just thinking 3, 4, or 5 years down the road. So that's where things stand as far as the cost of acquiring Ohtani. The thing here, and it's interesting, you don't hear this talked about a whole lot with a team that's not in your league and not in your division. With the Giants, at least as far as the possibility of acquiring Shohei Ohtani is concerned, they could benefit by the Angels losing games. There's a priority list here. I'm not saying when the Dodgers play the Angels in July, I'm not saying we're rooting for the Dodgers. No, not at all. Or in any Giants NL West competition, I'm not saying we're rooting for them to beat the Angels. But just when it wouldn't affect the Giants in any other negative way, the Angels losing games could just put market value on Ohtani at the trade deadline if they no longer see the benefit of keeping him. This is one of the situations where you kind of have to notice how you could benefit from a team in the other league maybe falling out of contention. And then if that's the case, it would be well worth the Giants' while to try to make an investment on Ohtani. Even if they don't get him, they have to look at big-name free agents at the trade deadline. All of this success we're seeing from the Giants right now is great, but that can't distract them from trying to be even better. Their roster's good right now. We're seeing the home runs, the grand slams, everything. It's awesome what we're seeing right now, but that can't distract the Giants from constantly trying to improve and taking every opportunity they can to do it. And I'm just tagging on this little conversation because I think it just fits well with the whole new level of possibility and the whole new level of hope that we're seeing the Giants just, with the way they're getting going and all that. So let's go Giants. I think there's a great probability that they're going to sweep the Dodgers tomorrow, and that would just be great. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also, please leave your questions and comments. You know where to do it. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.